I was 21, I was young, I was foolish, and I had big dreams. I met the CEO there. He basically told me to F off. You know, it's like, it's my baby, it's my product. Who are you, right?
I heard so much about what you've been able to do. You already had an exit and you're already working on a new startup.
And I left that business with a massive debt of $30,000, hundreds of emails and resumes sent out, zero conversions.
Yeah.
Walked out with a check of $250 on nothing but just passion and conviction. I paid, I think, $30,000 or $40,000 to be at that booth. We have no product. We had nothing. What? We have 6 months
to deliver
something. I want to launch live. Yeah, the more uncomfortable you feel, the better it is for you and your startup.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi everyone, this is Ali Farooq again and back for Open Dallas Conversations. Today I have a very special guest, Ali Peracha, with us. Ali, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Ali. Ali and Ali.
Yeah. So Ali, in our personal one-on-one conversations, I heard so much about what you've been able to do. You already had an exit and you're already working on a new startup. So we'd love to know about all of that today and we'll cover that. But initially, just introduce yourself, a little bit about your background.
My name is Ali Paracha. I moved to the US when I was 21. My family moved here. My mom moved here along with all of us. And that's where my journey started. I was 21. I was young. I was foolish. And I had big dreams. And whatever I did was to follow those dreams in one form or another. A lot of setbacks, in the early days. But then I hear other people's stories, especially other Pakistani stories, other origin stories. And then I feel very humble and blessed that I didn't have either those kind of those kind of struggles, during the journey when they were either came here for studies or for whatever reason. I had all my family here, so I was very blessed for that support. But on the professional side, had a lot of ups and downs. I think more downs than ups. And during every turmoil, I think that has taught me certain things on how to deal with it and how to move forward and keep a good state of mind when you get into the next thing. So I came here in 2004, end of 2004. In 2005, I had this job, software development job. Couldn't get it because there was an issue with my social security. My names didn't match, so I lost that job. I couldn't get that job. And then I started looking for other jobs. I got jobs in Starbucks, didn't start that because I was looking for something in technology. So I was walking around in South Lake, in Grapevine, going to these computer shops to see if I can just start as a technician or whatever, right? Luck had it that as I was walking out one of these repair shops, there was a jewelry store there. So I walked in, and there was this Filipino lady, and we started talking, and I introduced myself, told her I'm, in computer engineering, this was, web commerce was going big. Hey, I can help you convert your retail shop into e-commerce. So that's how, I started doing this side project for her to create a software, for her. That was my first gig here, basically. And 4 months later, I started helping her out. We were doing events and we were doing shows and I was taking pictures and, for all the content that I had to put on the website. And then that conversation turned out to be more like a partnership. Hey, Ali, why don't you come help me full time?
Yeah.
Right. So out of technology now, I've started I became a co-founder of this jewelry business. And it was a pretty different business. It was beads and shells and pendants made out of oyster shells and banana barks and, all done in the Philippines. Fast forward 3 years, we were in Neiman Marcus, we were in Saks, we were in Target. And then 2008 happened. That's when the partnership imploded and I left that business. And with a massive debt of, at that time, $30,000 is a big amount for me. So that kind of pushed me to get back into technology. My wife now helped me through that process of getting out of that funk and, whatever I was going through. Got a couple of boot camps done, did my MCSE, MCSAs, about 15 exams, Cisco's, A+, all those, anything I could get, I could do, put all on my credit cards, right?
Yeah.
So debt over debt over debt. And then, okay, now I'm back in the job market applying, for HP and any of the companies that you could find. No responses, hundreds and hundreds of emails and resumes sent out, zero conversions from there. So naturally, I had to figure something out. So that's when, decided to, okay, I need to get back into technology. I have these certifications. What can I do? So managed services was something that this idea was just starting up, technology companies going from reactive mode into proactive mode. So I kind of double clicked on that. So I applied for this job for a very early young company called TeamLogic IT. They are working on a franchise model. So this guy who's working with HP, he left HP and started his own managed services. I was his number one employee. And the deal with him was, hey, I'll grow your business for 2 years. We hit these targets. I want to talk about a partnership, right? And I took that opportunity, and I was getting paid $35,000, and I left a big opportunity at NEC.
Yeah.
For me to triple that amount, on salary at that time. So I've always been taking those pay cuts to just explore a different opportunities
and be in entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Trying to get into that because, my mind was never, hey, I want to work for you. Tell me a path where I can get ownership of a much bigger stake. And that was my conversation with them. Hey, I'm going to help you to get to here. And if that happens, let's talk about whatever, right? And 2 years later, that didn't happen. So I started exploring other opportunities. I started interviewing other IT companies, small IT companies and managed services companies in Dallas. My proposal was, hey, give me your proactive managed services team or arm, and I'm going to grow that. Don't give me salary. If this happens, then I need an ownership in that. So out of the 10 companies I met, the last one was called the Help Desk. Went in, 2 young guys, Nathan and Charles, Gora, as white as they can be. And I was actually applying for a systems admin job, $65,000 just salary, 2 engineers, right? And then 3 other support people, very small company, technology company they had. And the next day I declined the job because my goal was to start my own managed services.
Yeah.
And I was doing that to get market research, to see what other competitors are doing and so on and so forth. And luck had it that they called me the next day and said, hey, Ali, we want to meet you. So we met, and they said, hey, we want to offer you a partnership, a third partnership. We want to bring you on board. We like what you said, and that's how we started. That's how I became a late stage co-founder in a managed services company. They were doing about 100,000 of revenue a year, right? It's not MRR. And they were doing block hours, reactive support. So my goal was proactive, managed services, kind of contractual basis.
And this is what year?
This is 2009. So 2008 was the implosion of my partnership, and I left, got my certifications done, started applying. Sorry, 2000. Yeah, this is 2010, right?
Yeah.
So
you already had 2 previous partnerships too.
I had 2 previous partnerships that didn't work out for whatever reason, and a couple other startups that I started on the side that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Always been on the software.
And this was more customer support when you say managed
This
services?
was managed services, yeah. So any device that is plugged in, we would support you. We would provide all proactive services for a monthly.
So you came as a late co-founder, and how did that go?
It went great. In 2 years, we started coming in news. We were, voted as the fastest growing, top 500 growing MSPs in North America. And then in next year, we were top 100 and then top 50. We doubled our revenue year over year since 2009. And then in 2013, Charles and I, Nathan and I bought Charles out. He was the original founder. And then it was me and Nathan running the business. He was the CEO, I was the CFO. But those were just titles, and we were just doing everything. And then in 2015, that's when I started kind of digging deeper into the business side. Before that, it was more engineering. We were working in the business, selling projects, executing those projects across, DFW. We had about 100 boutique customers that we were supporting.
And how many employees?
We had 16 employees.
And what was the name of the company?
The Help Desk.
The Help Desk. Okay.
was the name of the company. And so that was the time when Nathan and I sat down. It's like, Nathan, what's your plan? And then figured out that, he would like to leave, and we made a deal, and I acquired him as well. So now 2015, I was the solo founder of a very successful managed services company, boutique services company in Dallas. I had 16 engineers, but my numbers weren't good, right? My margins were not as good as I wanted them to be. And it felt like every time we onboarded a couple of customers, I had to hire another engineer, right?
Yeah.
My profitability, my net margins didn't make sense. So now I was getting more into my books, and before it was more engineering mode, right? Now it's more business mode. So in that 6 months time, figured out that I need to optimize my processes, and that processes mostly is documentation, how we are tracking our customers' information, how we are storing that information, how our engineers have access to that information, and how fast can they get to that information. That was my core problem that I was trying to solve for my business, so I can, increase my net margins.
So you're looking for improved, better profit margin, profitability, growth.
Yeah. So
Cost optimization.
better support, more efficient technicians, higher profitability. Less overhead. Operationally, I wanted for it to be more optimized than it was. I wanted my procurement processes to be more optimized end to end. And again, this is 2015, right? So around that time. So now I've acquired Nathan.
Yeah. And so basically for the audience, right now we're talking with Ali Peracha, and primarily him as a founder, right? So we've already heard stories about his third gig, and we can see that there is a struggle, there is obviously acquisitions, and we'd love to know a little bit more about why original founders would leave and they will want to be acquired as well. And then once you have a solo ownership, you're actually looking at, how to actually make the company more profitable. I don't know if you considered any VC funding at that point, or what was the situation?
Oh, all great questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, it was just, I obviously had a vision, that I got to get there. And running it alone is a very lonely journey, especially for me. I don't do well when I have to do things alone. So I've been always very pro co-founders.
Okay.
When I was in college back in Pakistan, I had a startup, and we had a co-founder. His name was Ali Farooq.
Which college?
It was, so I was in school. It was Beacon House. I was doing my A-levels, private A-levels. And so during that time, I founded the software company called A Squared Tech, because we were both Ali, right? And it was a point of sale system that we were creating for, again, this is early on C+ and Visual and whatnot.
Wow.
So that's, so I was doing these things for a long time, but that didn't work out. 2 years later, we didn't have a growth.
So the jewelry shop gig was technically your second gig?
Jewelry shop was probably my fifth gig.
Okay.
Because the others were in Pakistan, and we didn't know what we were doing.
So you're always entrepreneurial. You always try to find something, and you actually in A-levels.
So when I was in college, I had 4 jobs. I was a software developer at one. I was a systems engineer at one. I was a network engineer at another job, and I was a technical assistant at my college university as well. And I was going through my college.
Okay. So let's go back to the help desk then, right? So the profitability, you're looking for margins.
Yeah.
And how to, not to hire an engineer when you always acquire customers. So customer acquisition cost, CSC.
Yeah.
Is also important.
Yeah. So our CAC was very low because we were always referral only. So for us to acquire a new customer, we had zero marketing, right? We had zero salespeople. So it was all just word of mouth. So one company would be so happy that they would recommend others, or it would come and through when we won awards, then we got a few customers from there, and large customers. Okay. There was a security firm out of Fort Worth that was a customer of 400 people, 6 warehouses that we were supporting, to a 2-man accounting shop, right? So we were kind of doing all of them and everything in between. So there's this thing about, now I'm alone, right? Now Nathan is, on the sidelines and he's exiting. And okay, what do I do? And this focus on, okay, I need to optimize my margins. How do I do that? I need to figure out why my profitability is bleeding, right? So that journey took me towards this month-long discovery of how my technicians are answering calls and what are they doing to look for information. If you call in, hey, Ali, I'm not getting my emails. What is it that's causing that? Hey, we're trying to do something with that QuickBooks. I'm not able to, it's payroll time and I can't do this, right? Now things are in cloud. Before there were local infrastructures, everything is hosted.
You had to physically go in.
Either physically or remote in, depending on what we could do. If we couldn't access it remotely, then we would go physically to fix it. That was the structure of managed services, right?
Yeah.
As many things as you can do remotely, you would fix.
Yeah.
So this month-long journey, I discovered that my technicians are spending way too long in supporting my customers when they would call in. Average time for understanding what the problem was and the steps to resolution was about 20-30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to decrease that. That led me towards a better documentation platform. Before that, we were documenting things in OneNote and SharePoint and notepads and people's minds and so on and so forth. And that need for documentation led me to a product called IT Glue, right? The biggest product. They were a startup and they were doing really, really well. They were based out of Vancouver, VC money. And in November of 2015, so every year ConnectWise was one of the products we were using to manage our managed services, our ticketing systems, our remote monitoring, our backups and all that. And then every year they host this big convention called IT Nation.
Yeah.
So, and I used to go there every year. So this year I saw IT Glue. I, met the CEO there. They had a booth, and I said, "Hey, Chris, I'm having these problems. If it would really help me if you could do this." So it was a feedback of the product, because my techs were spending more time than they needed to, and for the audience, the response I got wasn't a good response. I mean, he basically told me to F off. It's like, it's my baby, it's my product, I'll do whatever I want to do. Who are you, right? So kind of that connotation, and that kind of really bothered me. And post Nathan's exit and me being in this event, I onboarded my best friend from college, Umar Khwaja, to kind of help me with operations in Pakistan. So now I was setting my knock and sock team in Pakistan as well, right? So we had Umar kind of taking care of operations, and I had my support team. In Pakistan, we had a team of 8 people supporting my 16 people here. So then I started reducing my team here, and we started adding more, so to reduce my net margins, right?
Net margins and scale.
Net margins and scale, and after hour support, so I can do 24-hour serviceability and all that. So now Umar, we went to college together at this, post-college. Umar went to Saudi. He was working in core banking applications, enterprise applications. And after that, he was working with Oracle. So his mindset has always been very enterprise, very focused, process-oriented. On the other side, I'm very broken in a way. My strategy is, always try to figure out how do I get there, however I get there, right?
Yeah.
So now Umar's on board, again, a co-founder. That support I needed because I know I couldn't do it myself. So now Umar's helping me run operations. I come back from IT Nation. I was like, Umar, we got to do something. We got to figure documentation out. We're hurting.
Yeah.
We got to do something. And those products aren't doing anything for us. What can we do?
Yeah.
And now this is November of 2015. And that's when this founder mode started, this builder mode started. I started ideating of what this needs to be, what that platform needs to be. We started creating a documentation platform for our internal teams to use. We start getting validation and start getting a few friend managed services companies in the Dallas to get that early acceptance of whatever that problem market fit, or we didn't know what it was called. We were just doing just to get some yeses. And then I started talking to customers. Hey, if you had this dashboard, if you had this, draw it on a tissue paper. I used to go to these events and I sit down, say, hey, Mr. MSP, if you draw this out, would you like this dashboard or would you not? How would you use it, right? So I started getting a lot of those feedbacks. And then luck had it that in April of 2016, I was talking to a customer of mine. He was a customer of my managed services business. And his name was Jay, passed away recently. And I said, Jay, I have this idea about this software, and I'm trying to raise some funds. Can you help me? Can you introduce me into your network?
Yeah.
Again, Dallas at that time was nothing, right?
So I think let's pause here. So
Yeah.
you, the help desk company, and you wanted to improve margins, to scale and to minimize your margins, to maximize your margins and minimize your cost. You opened operation in Pakistan, and then you found a problem. And they say that best ideas come from the problem you're experiencing. It seems like you genuinely had a problem that you wanted to solve, and you tried to solve it with partnering with IT Glue. You could not, and then you wanted to take that on yourself. So that's the problem part of it. So there was a genuine problem you're looking to solve. The next thing is how to go about and execute solving the problem, and that's when a typical founder would find themselves. Different founders start the journey differently, and in your case, you directly went to how do I fund this initiative?
We didn't have money. I mean, I had money from my managed services, but it wasn't as if I was running after money. It was a normal conversation. Hey, Jay, can you introduce me to your people?
Because you thought at that point, if I can fund it, there's a genuine problem. So then you started solving the funding problem, which is there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, it's really good. I'm just trying because we want everyone to learn from here too, right? So we want to make sure that people understand what we're talking about and why. In certain other types of startup, they could be more like angel, or they could be more friends and family, or they could be just bootstrap, and bootstrap means that when you fund it yourself until you get a certain point, right?
Yeah. And sorry to cut you off here. Allah has been very, 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 very kind to me in this process, in this journey. And the reason I said that, typically when you think about, hey, I want to start a startup, you start, again, doing all these things that I did. And then you would start talking to people, just as the first conversation that I have with Jay. Hey, I have this idea. I have no Pakistani community around me. All my uncles at the time were either in real estate or retail. There was no connection that I had with them, and honestly, I had no one to go to. Right? I had no Pakistani friends here in and again, imagine no Pakistani friends here in Dallas, right? And this was in 2010, 11, 12, right? Unlike others where they have to go meet many people, right? And start pitching their ideas and start getting, hey, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Alhamdulillah, I've been very lucky because when I said, hey, Jay, can you introduce me? He's like, come over tonight to my house. I was like, okay, holy crap. I don't have anything. I have no plans. I have no financials. I have no idea.
Just passion to solve a problem.
I just have a passion. Hey, Jay, I want to solve this. Introduce me to your network. So I come over to my house, and I had no idea how to create revenue projections. Right? For the SaaS context, right?
Yes.
But me and Umar, we got on a call. An hour later, we had a very simple 3-year plan, right? Our expenses, our cost of engineering, our expected revenue, and that's it. And then on the left side on the bottom is like 2%, 5%, and 7% of our 3-year revenue projection of 3 million that we figured out. If we do this, if we charge this much, we're going to get to that number. And so I was explaining about technology, of what we're going to do and the pain point to Jay, and he was just shaking his head, and it's like, and then he just stood up and he walked in the room. It's like, man, what did I do? Maybe it's too technical. Maybe I lost him. Maybe I don't know what's gonna happen. So he came back out. He's like, Ali, I have no idea what you said. Last 2 hours, he just kept on talking, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, but I like your passion. I've known you for a few years. Took out a checkbook and wrote me a check for $250,000.
Wow.
So, unlike a lot of other people, Allah was very kind to me that my first meeting
Yeah.
Walked out with a check of 250 on
Yeah.
on nothing but just passion and conviction of
Yeah.
doing so. And
But
every other
you walked the hum though, right? So I think yes, Allah was very kind and has been kind, but it's always about for people who take the initiative. When preparation means, luck means preparation, as they say, right? So you were passionate, you had a problem, and you took the initiative of calling people and figuring out. It could have happened the first go, the second go, but you took the initiative is the main thing, which I want everyone to know, that you can not sit at home and rot about the idea. You actually have to take it forward, execute, start meeting people, and start sharing. And you may never know when luck strikes for that.
Yeah, the more uncomfortable you feel, the better it is for you and your startup, right?
Yeah.
In my now startup, I feel so uncomfortable, even though I've been doing it and failing so many times. So it's a journey that you.
So you got 250K.
So I got 250K, and the first thing I did was I signed up for IT Nation in November that we're going to launch there. This is April of 2016.
Yeah.
And then without even asking Umar, I paid, I think, $30,000 or $40,000 to be at that booth and at ConnectWise. And again, we have no product. We had nothing. I just have tissue paper drawings of what this potential dashboard or platform would look like, and everything else is in my head and Umar's head, right? And then I went to Umar. It's like, hey, Umar, we've raised the money. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. And we, definitely it was such a time of joy for us, But then I said, hey, I've also committed to this booth in November to launch. It's like, what? We have 6 months
to deliver
something. Yeah. And I want to launch live. I don't want to do videos, and I want to do a live demo.
Yeah, something that's working in real time.
And my booth was one row across IT glue. And we were ITBoost, right? So early on that, all the learnings that I've had throughout on marketing, on how to attract people, jewelry taught me a lot on how to sell things, right? Which for the longest time I cussed at myself. It's like I wasted my time, 5 to 8 years of my life in jewelry. But now I think about it, it's like, if I can sell a piece of jewelry to a woman, I can potentially and get into Neiman Marcus and Saks. I can do a lot more things.
I'm very happy that you shared that, because I also have similar experiences that anytime, wherever you spend productive time, that learning will help you somewhere in the future. So it's always about learning, and should always be about learning. And by the way, I did have a jewelry shop too, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So now we have $250,000, and I've committed to launch.
And the name of your new company is ITBoost.
Yeah, this time.
And so what happened to the help desk? Is still there, or?
So help desk was still there. Again, it was still very early, and this is something for the audience, because retrospectively thinking about it, I wanted to hold on to my revenue generating business.
Yeah.
Something that was paying my bills. I didn't know where the software was going.
Yes.
I've always been hearing startups have, high chances of startup failing. I've had so many startups and ideas that have failed throughout the journey. What's going to happen? Yes, I've raised the funding, but I don't want to let go of this comfortable asset that I have. And then 6 months later, I see myself focusing more on ITBoost. And I fired a couple of customers that were a headache to me, that were calling me at 4 a.m. Then a month later, 2 other customers fired me because I wasn't taking them out for lunch and giving them the attention I needed to give them. So I would see that trajectory going down. And I couldn't find anyone to take on that role the way I wanted them to take on that role. And that learning from the past is to still keep on finding the best person you can, right, to replace you. But then eventually I ended up selling it. But the learning from that was I could have had 3 times the exit in that with 60-some% margin, net profit margin that I was in. That was very healthy number for a managed services company. Yeah. Usually they're in the 20s to 30s. Yeah. Summary Allah was, awesome to us that we achieved those numbers. Again, that's why we kept on getting those awards, right? And then I see those numbers going down again, right?
Got it.
And going down again. And a year later, I just had to sell it.
You just had to sell it.
It was a good exit, but I had to sell it to protect ITBoost now.
Yeah, and it is a success, right? So that was your first formal exit?
It was my first formal exit,
Yeah. For
But,
something you co-founded with someone and you own
Yeah.
entirety of it
Yeah.
as one co-founder eventually.
Yeah.
And then you had an exit. So you're already feeling good as a founder, I'm hoping, at that point.
Yeah, but at this point, I'm already into my
Into
IT
another-
boost, into it, deep
Yeah.
into it. At this point, we have to figure out how to raise more because the money was given to us in trenches. It wasn't as if a full check.
One check, 250K did not happen.
The first check was happened, but I used that. Now, going into the second year, we have to figure out the challenge that I gave to the show, and then
So that's why it's very important for everyone to work their burn rate out as soon as early they can in the startup mode, know what cash they have, so they can know at what point they have to raise funds and how much funds they have to raise. So everyone needs to have a startup model of how they want to go forward for funding. Funding eventually becomes critical.
Yeah, I think funding is the heartbeat for your company. Because a lot of founder conflicts happen because of funding. And by this time, 2017, Raza was on board as well. So Omer was leading the technology team in Pakistan. I was leading sales, marketing, vision, focus, all that, customer interviews, all the other hats except technology. And then I needed help in financials to figure out what my journey is in fundraising and all that. And I know I wasn't strong at that. So, and I met Raza. Raza was an accidental meetup. He was an uninvited guest at my house.
Oh, wow.
And he was working at Xerox. He was on the deal structuring side. He was, very, very intellectual person.
Yeah.
And when I met him, I was at a point of buying out Nathan.
Yeah.
So Raza as well. So you can understand his mindset and how he comes to me.
Yeah.
You're selling, what is contracts like, blah, blah, blah. So we started talking about that. And that was very, very early, first couple of days. And then when I got more into ITBoost, and, that's when we started meeting every day and we started ideating about funding and what that exit strategy is going to be. Another critical point for the audience is keep the end in sight, right? When Raza came in, our goal was a 3-year event, whatever that event was. It was Series A, it was a massive partnership, or it was an acquisition, right? So we started focusing on that because before that I had no vision financially of where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Right. So that helped me reframe my strategy overall, my customers, my tag, my focus, my how do I need to get my MOMs up, and so on and so forth.
Very good. Just a question before you move on. So the 250K you got, was it based on some type of equity agreement with?
Yeah, I mean, he asked me the what's the best I can do. Like I said, the first deck I had, financial 3-year plan I had, on the bottom left I had 3%,
5%,
5%, 7%. He's like, Ali, what's the maximum you can do? I was like, 10%. So he got 10% of the company, and it was an LLC. We had, no LLC. So once he signed up, then I created a Texas-based LLC with Ali and Jay. And
with
then
Raza and Jay probably.
No, Raza wasn't.
Okay.
Raza wasn't on. So our contract rules were very, very rough. We never focused on contracts.
Okay.
It's like mera kitna percent, tera kitna percent. We never focused on that. When Omer and I started, we were 50-50, right?
Okay.
It was like, okay, equal partnership. Jay came in, he had 10%, right? So, okay, whatever. We didn't know. No one was helping us. But then we started learning on how to financially engineer your cap tables and your valuations and all that. Again, with the help of that third co-founder I had. I couldn't have done this alone.
Okay.
Right. So now when we're getting ready for launch, And the next stage of trench that come in, that was financially engineered. And every step after that was reverse engineered to our path of that third year. What do we need to do?
Okay. So what you are suggesting is that always have an end to whatever initiative you have and work backwards from that.
Yeah, if you know that you gotta get to the end point, if you're running a marathon,
Yeah.
and you know you need to get to that end point, you'll do everything to get to that end point the best you can. So you gotta pace your first few laps,
Yeah.
right? You don't over exaggerate, you don't overrun, you don't use all the money up front. You figure out what's the best use of money or resources for that marathon. You're not running a sprint.
Yeah. So then what happened to the future of ITBoost?
Yeah, so now Raza's on board. Foolish enough for me that I wanted to launch live,
6 months.
Actually, this is before Raza came in. So 6 months, later in November of 2019, I'm sorry, November of 2016, ITBoost is Hello World. I need to present it to 3,000 people at the event. We have a booth, a very busy booth. I'm a booth away from IT Glue. Okay, what do we do? Show's opening in 2 hours and I'm trying to log in and nothing's happening. Our whole system is down. What do we do? I have to give a live demo, and I was completely against doing any recorded demos. Got the team on board, and we fixed the path of the demo, the journey of the demo. That was about it, so I can give a live demo. And during that journey, if I clicked anywhere else, the whole system would crash.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And we were in a conference room, Shopee Internet and all that. But we had that path. I was ready. Event opens up, and we had one person show up, and they're walking around. And because I wasn't doing anything different, I had a big TV, and we had something, I think. A logo for ITBoost there, and then pamphlets there, and so on and so forth. But I wasn't getting that pull. It's like, what's going on? Then I did one change. I picked up our voice over IP dashboard and I put it on the TV. And then people start stopping. Hey, what is that? What is that? How do we use it? When do we get it? Right? Who are you guys? Right? We haven't seen you before. And then we had lines. People started waiting, and then the lines started going around the booth, around IT Glue.
Yeah.
And then they started asking what's going on. And then people would come over to our booth and then go over to them. It's like, hey, ITBoost has these features. Why don't you have that? And so on and so forth. Now the real strategy of what I wanted, that battle of the two started, IT Glue versus ITBoost. And naturally, what we did in terms of marketing. At this point, again, there's a lot of learnings,
and we need to talk a lot about those learnings too, because that's what the audience will probably really appreciate. So that is still 2016, 2017 time frame. And then...
So Jay was there, right? Again, I was foolish enough to invite my investor at the event to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But Allah ka shukr that it went really good. We had lines. And we came back, it's like, Jay, it's time for another round.
Yeah.
And it's not the same valuation. Right, and his next round was raised at 20 million, and he got 2% of that. Right, wow. So from 10% to 2%, we had our valuation when he invested was 2.7 million, 2.7, and now we're at 20s, right? Just because of the response that we got and the early signups that we got, and then he invested. And this time Raza was on board. Now Raza was on board, and he's helping me financially engineer, how we need to onboard Jay so we can protect our we can't have down rounds. We always have to have up rounds. So then we did an average, and we made sure that we always had up rounds rather than down rounds for the next rounds as well.
So how do you define up rounds?
Up round is when you raise whatever amount at 20 million, and then you raise another amount at 30 million, and then you raise another round at 40 million. Down round is if when you devalue your company and you raise at 20 million and then you raise 10 million, right?
So that's the valuation of the company. And this is very important again, that you are asking for funds based on what the company is worth. So what we're talking about it at that point, ITBoost was $20 million worth based on the feedback they got from the customers at an event, and it seems like the business is going to be very successful because the idea was there. So I think you already understood that you're going towards a problem market fit, which is like understanding that, and maybe now it is all about product market fit, which we are going to
Luckily enough, we didn't have to go through problem market fit because IT Glue already proved that.
Yeah, that's true.
They already proved the problem market fit and the product market fit
was also there because there was someone was already solving the problem.
They're already solving it.
So you just took out an idea that someone else was doing but made it better.
We made it better because I was an MSP and I knew my pain points and knew what those products couldn't do. And my goal was to connect disconnected products together. So, ITBoost was a single pane of glass. That was the tagline. So then we started looking at, okay, what other products am I using for ITBoost? Well, there's a BI tool I'm using. There's a customer feedback tool I'm using. Again, when I'm doing my customer discovery, when I'm doing customer interviews, then I'm asking a lot of questions. Okay, how do you use this BI tool? What features do you use in this BI tool? What features do you use in this BI tool? And then a lot of learnings, insight was that 80% of those customers are using only 20% of features. And that's a big study as well, right? So then I started focusing on those 20% features and we started integrating those into ITBoost. So now ITBoost was doing documentation heavily, which is maybe 60% of what IT Glue was doing, and then 20% of what other competitor was doing, and then the customer feedback. Now we have this complete ecosystem where customers.
So it's much better product, more comprehensive,
and deeper integrations with the ecosystem. Yeah.
So Jay, how much was the next round? At 2%.
So 250.
Another 250.
So 25 million.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got another 250K, and now probably your focus is to improve CSE or get CSE.
We didn't know what that was. Okay. Our focus was to launch. Our focus was to, so with the first tranche of money, I went to eBay and I bought broken Google Cloud servers, and I bought off the shelf whatever I could find. Blade servers, I still have them in my data center. They're broken. Fan is broken, the bezel is falling off. But our initial infrastructure during the first year was on that. And then we moved everything over to AWS. Then we added EU and AU, as part of our customer base.
Wow. So who was your first customer and how did you grow your customer base?
So my first customer was Thomas. Met him at IT Nation. He was my first beta. Again, from that event. We had about 500 wait list of 500 partners, and then we started off, onboarded 10. The next tranche was 20. Then we created our Slack community, where whatever problems that they're having, our team was waiting.
So how big was your ITBoost team then eventually?
ITBoost at the time was maybe 20 people.
20 people?
Yeah, 25 people in the first year.
Yeah. And then how long did you have it, the company?
We got acquired in 2019, and at the time of exit, we were 120 people in Pakistan and 20 people in Medellin, Colombia.
In Colombia. So a year and a half later, you probably started having the what's next probably, right? So how did the acquisition happen?
Yeah, so we started figuring out, okay, so Raza's focus was Series A.
Yeah.
Right. So he was kind of hitting hard on VCs and that community, getting a lot of no's because that market didn't understand the managed services market. It was a very small niche market for them to solve for. And since the idea of ITBoost started, because I was so heavily using ConnectWise in my managed services, and because I knew the power of ConnectWise as an ecosystem, how ConnectWise helped me grow my managed services, and from the community, I knew that I really wanted to figure out a partnership or an acquisition with ConnectWise. So from the get-go, that was my strategy. How do we get deeper? How do we do deeper integrations? How do we show value to that company? How do we create a missing piece? So funny enough, ConnectWise also had a documentation feature, but no one liked it.
Yeah.
And we were a documentation platform.
Yeah.
And we launched at IT Nation. So everything we did was with ConnectWise and IT Nation. And, so we promoted, how ConnectWise is helping ITBoost and how it helped the help desk. So during that time, IT Glue was growing, ITBoost and IT Glue, how we positioned ourselves in the market, as competitors. There was 3 other products in that space, but we muted those 3 competitors because all around the community was IT Glue versus IT Glues, ITBoost versus IT Glue, and vice versa, pros and cons. They were creating ads for us, and we were creating ads against them, right? so that was a very healthy competition.
And it was US wide, or you think it
it was worldwide, but majority was US, and we opened up in APAC, and we opened up in EU, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I know you mentioned, but primary business was still
in the US.
Okay.
In the US. Yeah, majority customers were here in the US. So now I knew that I needed to get to ConnectWise. How do I do that? So we started posting. We started, when we opened up the conversation about a potential acquisition, we didn't go to ConnectWise first. We went to the competition. We went to Kaseya and Datto and Autotask and SolarWinds, right? The big vendors in that space. And we did some engineering around marketing, around, what we were doing, how we were doing things. We used, focused marketing. When we were in New York, we would have heavy marketing in Tampa that ITBoost is, meeting connect, this and this and this and doing this to enable that awareness. And then I remember this is 2018, St. Pete's, and I was at a user group in Tampa at ConnectWise's office, and I was sitting down with one of the leadership member, and it's like, man, you got to do this, because we know what's going to happen with IT Glue, and it's really going to help that narrative that we want to sell. And that conversation that I don't want to get to this in this call, that conversation enabled us for this conversation about an acquisition. And that opened up another door. And now the whole team, so ConnectWise was also acquired by Tom Bravo at that time, right? When we started conversations. So the original founder and CEO of ConnectWise exited, and now Jay, who was the COO, he became the CEO of the company. And I had a relationship that I've built over a year with him. And Raza had a relationship with another C-level executive there. And this was just, figuring out what to do and how we can do things. And those conversations turn into closed doors conversations. And then the next thing we know, we're talking about an acquisition. That conversation started in April of 2019. Took us 6 months to close that, or agree, both parties to agree to those numbers. And 2019 November, we announced to the world that ITBoost has been acquired, and then a month later, COVID happened.
Oh, so good thing or bad thing? Because you already acquired.
Allah ka shukr hai, man. That was the best thing. I mean, COVID, when the world was dying, right? I had more money than I ever imagined. I had more money than anyone in my family had ever seen. What do you think, man? I mean, that access to cash and then at the same time, the world is ending.
So is the acquisition, was it at par to what you ever thought or ever envisioned for yourself?
Yeah, I never started off with the number that. So backstory, and Waqas, if you're watching, this is for you. I remember I was walking outside his house, and this is the early days of ITBoost, and I was 35, 36 at the time, maybe 34. I don't remember now. And it's like, Ali, tu kya kar raha hai? What are you doing? Why are you running after this? Get a decent job. Go, your help desk is doing really good. Why do you have to break yourself into the startup mode? And because I was going downhill from there, right? I had sold my help desk and I was losing a lot of money and so on and so forth. It's like, Waqas, I need to see $1 million in my account before I turn 40. I need to see those 7 digits in my account. I don't know why. That's just that's my passion. That's what my goal is. And that happened, and then some, multiplied many times over at 38.
Yeah.
right? So again, this blind faith in setting your targets, so whatever that is, and whatever opportunity comes, you go move forward towards that target. So for the audience, again, I've met so many people that are okay and they're just comfortable with where they are at, and that's okay. But you're the one who can answer, what do you want to really do?
Yeah. So Ali, has been a really good journey to understand how a founder was able to struggle initially and take initiatives and eventually make an exit. This particular episode, I think we have done due justice with it. So we'll end it here. Great journey, great story. And we'll have another session with you to understand the lessons learned and also understand, what was your next, where did you go next?
Man, it's a pleasure, and this journey, I don't think maybe one person that I've shared this journey with the failures, right? And there's a lot of more stories in those failures.
Yes,
as well,
I know.
right? So again, appreciate this opportunity of me coming in and helping the community out. People, I've met so many people post my exit, meet young founders every day that are stuck.
Yes.
They don't know what to do, how to do it,
Yes.
and Nexonomy's goal is to help that out too.
Yeah, so let's talk about it in the next episode. Ali, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.